Welcome to the Own Your Choices, Own Your Life podcast. You've landed in the right place to learn how to own your story, release subconscious beliefs, rewire your mind, and step into the impact you know you're here to create. Through Outspoken Publishing and NLP certifications, we share the tools and subconscious shifts that expand your voice, your message, your confidence, and your leadership. I am your host, Marsha Vanwynsberghe, NLP trainer, speaker, author, and publisher. I am thrilled you are here. Let's get started. Welcome back to the show. We are in the last episode in this Unbothered series, and I do want to say that I promise you it won't be the last time you hear about it, because this is what I'm building. I can see it in ways that I couldn't even see it like a few months ago, let alone 9 months ago. I'm building in this concept and I'm seeing it and how it's just so much about identity rewiring, building into the version of you who can hold the business that you're here to create. No longer just pushing and chasing and working harder on that vision, but really solidifying the cracks in the floor so that you can elevate your beliefs in yourself to hold the vision that you're creating. There's so much to it. And it's a book, it's a mastermind, it's a subconscious reprogramming program. And I see it as an event. Like, I just going to say this publicly out loud. I see it as an event. So we're growing into what this version is. And I invite you to be in a space to start to share what you're doing, what you're working on, because you're building and titrating your own nervous system to be able to hold it. And that's literally what I've been doing. Calling it out, talking about it long before. I think it's May 15th. So just past that date. But it was 9 years ago that was when I bought the domain for When She Stopped Asking Why, which was my book that I was writing that year. I never shared the title with people. I did share online that I was writing a book. It took a long time to be in a space to share what I was doing. Now this version of me feels like it just feels normal to share what I'm doing as I'm doing it, because I'm actually building my own self in order to hold it and create it. And I invite you to do the same. Plus, crazy things happen when you put that out in the world, literally. I think it was 2022 when somebody sent me a podcast episode just recently from 2022. And I talked out loud about starting Outspoken, my NLP coaching certification, and building a publishing house. Neither existed at all. And here I was as a guest on a podcast saying it out loud because they asked me, what big goal do I have of what I want to do? And I was like, start Outspoken and build a publishing house. Like, I wasn't doing it. Now, I completely forgot about that episode, but it's a reminder that can you speak your things into existence? So through this process, what does actually becoming unbothered give you? What does it give you, right? If you're somebody who's continuing to grow into wanting to build more, create more, and not lose in the process, right? This is never about perfection, because I do believe that as you're growing, there are times where you might have to work harder than you think. Maybe something else has to be slightly sacrificed, but not long term. And, I often talk about we have sprint times in our season where I'm just got my head down and we're just sprinting. But I've already blocked time in my calendar for afterwards, because we don't sprint 24/7 here anymore. That's not how we do business. We actually even have this text thread that it gets to be easy. So this is the piece, is that recognizing that you can build yourself to grow into the version of you, solidifying the cracks in your foundation and your beliefs in yourself, the blocks, the barriers, all those thoughts, so that you can become unbothered and hold the vision, the version of what you want to create. And that's really what the framework is like. So when we're doing this, we want to be in a space of recognizing that, where am I bothered? What is not working? How can I recognize what that looks like? Because there's an old story that's attached there that we're holding on to that's not serving us. It belonged to a past version of ourselves, but it's not who we are now. And so then we're in a space of recognizing, that's an old thought. That's a belief. That's what I want to learn how to release. And as you do that, you start to release the things that you're no longer meant to carry. You're no longer meant to hold. So again, vision is the ceiling, floor is the beliefs. We have to know where we're going, absolutely, and we have to release and unhook the old story, the old pattern, the thoughts that are no longer serving you. And so when we're in that space, you start to recognize that, wow, like all of these thoughts that I'm having, they're not even mine. They're not what I want. So when we do that, we take ourselves through this process of releasing something that is no longer meant to be carried. And now getting clear on where are the cracks in my foundation? Where are the cracks in my belief in myself? What is not working? And how can I really call them out so that I can see it? It's really hard to say, oh, I mean, I actually don't believe that I'm very worthy of receiving this. And guess what? Almost every single person is thinking that at some point in their life. I'm serious. So I want you to know you're not alone in some of those thoughts that you might be having that are not serving you. But we're building so that you can become unbothered when, maybe it doesn't work the way you want. Or maybe you've got full of the judgment and criticism around you, people who think you're crazy for what you're doing. Again, people sometimes ask me still, my family, still doing that side thing? Yep, still doing it. Still doing it. Still here. So you're not responding, right? You're not reacting to everything around you, you're responding. And then instead of having the wins and the losses and the feeling like it's like the wins and the failures, you're riding the pirate ship and you're back and forth and there's bracing because you're trying to protect yourself through those hard seasons. Instead, we're learning how to regulate ourselves, right? Like recognizing that nervous system regulation, it is responding to you. So how can you see it as it's just trying to keep you safe? It's all it's doing. It's actually what its job is. But recognizing it, release that story. Where am I in this nervous system? Fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Where am I in this contraction phase, bracing for the next thing to happen? Where am I doing that? Because that is blocking me from building my floor. That is blocking you from building your floor. And it is blocking you from leading yourself in the way that you are meant to. As you go through the identity shifts to become the version of you who is holding this vision that you have for yourself, right? Again, there's anything wrong with the vision. It's who can you become to hold that? So we want to shorten that gap. This is the work, closing that gap. The gap is always going to be there in some way, shape, or form. There's nobody who's got it all figured out at all times, just so you know. But we want to shorten that gap. And as we shorten that gap, we seal the blocks, the barriers in our beliefs. We recognize what those blocks, those barriers, those beliefs are about ourselves. We own them. We own those parts of our stories because when we own them, they don't own us. It's just really that simple. And when we own it, we get to shape it. We get to mold it. We get to see it the way that we want. We get to change the meaning in it. And even that changes your energy. You can see it and feel it and hear it in me. So when you're owning something in the terms of NLP, something that we are not taking ownership of and not taking radical responsibility of is actually holding us. So we want to be in a space of recognizing that, yes, this is mine to hold, mine to own. Then I get to control myself, my own response in the process. And as we do that, there's more identity shifts that are happening, more. Then we drop into trust. And trust in my words and language of how I see it is, can you see it before you see it? Can you see it? Can you drop into seeing it? Not just visualizing. I'm talking see, feel, and hear as though it's already done. 9 years ago, when I talked about my book, When She Stopped Asking Why, I used to close my eyes and picture people holding the book, people I had never met before, and having them say, thank you for helping me to know that I wasn't alone. Thank you for showing me that your story is similar to mine. Thank you for showing me how to make it through a difficult time. So I didn't just visualize it. I could see it, hear it, and feel it. I didn't even know NLP then. I wasn't teaching it. I didn't know it. I could see it before I had the physical evidence. That is so important. And if you can see it before you have the physical evidence, that means you know that the vision that drops down for you is for you. You know it and you see it. And I believe so deeply that every vision, please borrow some of my belief. every vision that drops down for me, no matter how batshit crazy some of them are, trust me, I have mentors and people in my team are like, okay, that's a great idea. Can we just shelve that for right now? That's my brain. It's literally my brain. No matter how crazy my ideas are, I know, I trust that they are dropping down for me. It is my job, my responsibility to become the version of me who can hold that. That's it. That's it. That's the work. And as I trust and see it, that is when so many things can start to change. And so as we're building all of that, right? We're building these pieces of unbothered, then comes the hold and the hold and. This is one of my favorite parts of unbothered is holding what you're building. And there's always an and, right? We've learned through subconscious reprogramming, through NLP. If you've heard me speak, I do everything I can to reframe a but. Everything. If I hear but, it's like, let's reframe it. Because every time you say the word but, you negate everything before it. And so there's an and. And I say a lot of ands. I know I do. Because sometimes I'm reframing right in my head as I'm doing it. Right in my head as I do it. And as we hold, you're then expanding your capacity. As you're expanding your capacity, you're expanding what you can hold. And that's why, like, is again, never a look at me. I'm always wanting to share as a learn from me lens. The teacher in me that still always exists is the fact that, we went from a team of 2 to 6, almost 7 in 6 months. And you don't have to build a team. I'm not saying that. But what we're building requires strengths outside of mine. They're not my strengths. That's not what it looks like. That's how you expand capacity. I know I'm receiving support. And there are many times I will have a team member reach in and go like, can you please get out of the site and let me do my job? And I'm like, yep, listening. I'm listening. I'm being very honest. I get it. So it's just like, it's grown because our capacity has grown. And then as we do that, we get to respond from power. We get to respond from power, right? And it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then as we do that, we are like embodying everything that we are building. And then there's this piece about declaring. And I am excited. I've had some downloads for what the cover is going to look like. Anyways, I'm going to go there eventually. But this piece that, when you build this and you declare what you have created, what you're doing, what it looks like, you're always leveling up. You're always rebuilding that floor. You're always elevating yourself. Unbothered is not a like, oh, one and done. No, it's not. It's like this loop that continues to happen. And as you continue to build that loop, your floor just gets stronger and stronger because if you stop and look and see and stack your wins at what you have created and what you have done, then all of the sudden it's like, wow, okay, wow, what's next? Right? Not push fast at what's next. It's like, feel it, embrace it. And I wonder what else is possible. I wonder what else we could do. Right? I wonder what else this can look like. I was on a podcast. I shared it on a story and people loved it. But this podcast, it was for founders. And I felt almost like a little bit of I don't think I belong on this podcast. It felt like it was very bro marketing, no offense, but it was. And I thought, sure, I'll do it. And so we got partway through and we talked about business and growth and what it looks like. And I'm throwing like some subconscious work into it. And the guy on the other end is like, okay, but what's your ad strategy? And I'm laughing at how this is all coming together. And I said, we don't have an ad strategy. And he was like, well, what do you use for ads? I'm like, I don't do ads yet. And he goes, that's impossible. And I'm like, why? And he goes, because like, there's no way you could create what you've created without it. And I'm like, well, I disagree. And he goes, well, how? How do you nurture people? And I'm like, this podcast has been a massive way to nurture people. And he said, okay, then fine. What's the secret? And this is really important. And I want to share it. First off, it's not a secret. Second is when my belief in myself, which I call the floor, when my belief in myself rose and matched where I said I wanted to go, that is when it all changed. And what if the big piece about learning to become unbothered is more than what everyone else is going to say? Like that concern of like, what's everyone else going to say? What if the biggest piece of becoming unbothered is learning how to catch your own thoughts, your stories, the things that are running on repeat, the limiting beliefs, the limiting decisions, the disbeliefs, the doubts that are blocking you from moving forward. And it's recognizing your old patterns and catching them so that you can be like, yeah, I see you. I know you're trying to keep me safe and we're going this way. Because this work, it doesn't stop. It's on a repeat loop, I promise you. If you have big visions and big goals and you're trying to do big things in your life, this work is nonstop. Absolutely nonstop. I promise you, if you could see how much I coach myself on a daily basis or lean in for support, you'd be shocked. But it happens all the time. So we're in this space that we are moving through the concept of unbothered so that we get stronger. We reach that ceiling, that vision that we have for ourselves. And we do it with a lot of repetition, and a lot of work. And so as we do this, I'm grateful that you've been here for this journey, for being here, for listening, for supporting the show, whether you're in the mastermind of Unbothered or you're just listening to the episodes, like whatever, I'm thrilled you're here. And I know that there's something for every single person who listens. And I hope you've enjoyed this series. I want you to know whatever you desire is possible for you. It is up to you to become the version who can hold it. And that starts with a you versus you. It is always a you versus you. I promise you, no matter what, you are your best client at all times. And how you learn how to lead yourself through the challenges of day to day is when it all changes. So I am sending you so much love. I appreciate you so much. And I cannot wait to hear any feedback you might have on this series. Have an incredible day. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Own Your Choices, Own Your Life. I invite you to tag me on social media with your takeaways or share it with a friend. If you feel called, please leave a 5-star review and I would be forever grateful. Until next time, remember, when you own your choices, you own your life.